Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! So about 8 years ago, I sold a used car. The engine light was on, the AC needed recharging, and the fuel pump or something was out. So I got to my local trusted sales site. The ad goes up with a few pictures and a word, "I work weird hours so I may not be able to accept a phone call. Please only text me." Yay for working swings and midnights, right? It was actually college classes, but it was the same thing for me. So a few days in, I get a pretty standard text. "Hi, I am Matt. Is your car still for sale?" Matt isn't his real name, but you get the idea. So text back that it is. A few standard text about price, why the engine light is on, who did you get the quote from. I listed an approximate price on the repairs as quoted from my trusted mechanic, and whatnot. Go back and forth. The next day I get a text from him saying, "Are you going to take all your stuff out of the car before you sell it to me, or is it my job?" Unwarranted hostility. Really? What the hell, man? He is not the only interested party, so I text him back. "I am not selling the car to you, so don't worry about it." I never said I would sell it to him. He never asked if he was the only interested party, and others were already arranging test drives. I didn't need him in his less than full price, partial commitment. And the stuff he was complaining about was 3 textbooks and a bag I keep clothes in. 4 things. This guy doesn't like to take no for an answer and start calling and texting about how my car's paint is peeling. True, but the pictures and the description said so. And how dare I ask so much, 1K, for a piece of crap like this? I started replying for a time, telling him he wasn't going to get the car, that I had other interested buyers, so he didn't need to worry about it, and so on. Then things got personal. This site gave you the option to link to Facebook, so you could post at both places at the same time. So I had. I didn't have my privacy settings turned down, as it was still early in Facebook's absolute reign. And I actually trusted them at the time. Silly me, I know. I hadn't anticipated that he would be able to find my information through the website's post and find my name, my location, pictures of my kid, my mother-in-law's obituary, and so on. Surprise me, he did. Pictures of my kid, my mother-in-law's obituary, and so on. Surprise me, he did. He starts texting me about how I should be ashamed of myself for saying no to him. A muscular dude and me being a quiet round female. He included a picture in one text, and he wasn't the muscular, built man he claimed to be. He looked like a beanpole with 2 ab muscles. So what the hell, dude? He asked me if I even knew everything about cars or if I made the post while on my period. So I didn't know what I was talking about. He texted that I should be lucky I was already married, or else he would come to my house and show me how a real man handles a little witch. He got close but didn't have an address, and the way my address pulls up on GPS, he never would find my apartment, thankfully. Small side note, since I was in college at the time and needed a more flexible schedule, I worked as a school crossing guard. Every 2 weeks or so, we'd go in to sign our time cards in order to get paid. This crossing guard gig was hired through my local police department. Not all crossing guard gigs are the same, but this one was. During one of these visits to the office, I was using my phone while I was waiting for my boss to get to me. My name being low in the alphabet, I hadn't yet blocked the dude, as it hadn't been long since this started, and I was hoping it would fizzle on its own. I didn't check my phone in class, choosing to turn it off to avoid ADHDing on it the entire day, and I was often flooded with several hours of texts all at once. What I saw on my phone drove me over to the cliff. He started texting about pictures I had posted on Facebook about my 8 or 7-year-old son. He had just majorly crossed the line. The cleanest version of his text included things like, "Your kid is just as ugly as you are. I hope you don't plan on him leaving home to get a wife anytime soon." and how a smudge of dirt on his face from a day at the zoo looked like I beat him. I didn't sell you a car and you're taking out your rage by threatening to assault me and accusing me of beating my kid? Oh hell no. Apparently I was loud when I said what I did, because my boss stepped right over to me next and asked what was wrong. Great person, 10 out of 10. I told her that I was getting these abusive texts from a random person who tried to buy my car. I told her I was about to erase the texts and block him, but she was like, no, wait, don't do that. Let me see your phone. I'm so happy I didn't delete them because this next part still makes my heart sore. I offer and she takes my phone, reading all the sick and vile things he texted me. She tells me to wait until she cleared the lobby of the other crossing guards. So I do. She then tells me to follow her behind the security doors. The police department station still was my phone. I don't know what's happening, but I liked and trusted her. So I do. I follow her back to her office where she works on her computer, referring to my phone on occasion. She asks if all I have is a phone number or if I have his name too. I tell her I only got a first name and scroll to the text where he introduced himself. A semi-uncomfortable amount of time later, she hands back my phone. Something to mention, my boss isn't just administrative. I didn't know it at the time, but she's full-on lieutenant in a local PD. She came up the ranks from patrol, moving to a position where she exclusively investigated child, elder, and disabled abuse complaints before moving into her current desk position. Needless to say, she didn't take people threatening harm to kids lightly. Because I hadn't blocked the number, I still had the text messages with the dude's name, and she had used them to cross-search him and the phone number. Long story short, she knew exactly who he was. She says not to worry, but don't delete or respond to his texts anymore. She had it. If it got worse, I should call her or 911 as appropriate right away. Unconcerned and happy she had the situation in hand, I left the class. When I went back to the office to sign my next time card 2 weeks later, I had several unread texts from this guy. I had filtered them so I didn't see them pop up and hadn't read them. I had sold the car for the full asking price and had all but forgotten the entire situation. My boss tells me to wait for her again as she has something else for me to sign, and I again return to her office. She briefly explains what she had for me as an actionable complaint that she needed me to sign from my issue 2 weeks ago. I remember everything all over again. She must see my face because she tells me not to worry and that she can tell me more about what's going on after I actually sign the form. So I do. Dear Reddit, this is the best situation anyone could have asked for. The phone number was tied to many people as the provider was known for cheap cell service for those that were desperate for a way to contact people, services, or employment. Pose a name Matt, again a fake name, she was able to find out who was missing with me. She then got a driver's license, which led to an address, which led to a police report for possible domestic violence. Pull down the rabbit hole some more and you find out that this dude had 5 kids by 4 women, and he was in arrears on his child support to them all. Hadn't been paying for 10 plus years and it was in a neighborhood of 30 to 50k, if memory serves. But somehow, just 2 weeks ago, he requested the title transfer for a new to him, quite fancy old car. I don't remember the kind, but think high-end cars show a massive insurance premiums. Being so far in arrears meant that my boss was able to place a seizure order on the car so it could be sold to pay back the child support. One of the baby mamas lives in a state where fleeing child support means you could have a warrant issued for your arrest. When she called the interested parties in that state to see if they wanted her to execute the arrest warrant, they said yes, with much haste. That was a funny turn of phrase, so I always remembered it. One conversation later, my boss was able to determine that he was using the brother's social security number on his employment forms to avoid child support garnishment. This is all sorts of illegal, so she notified the guy's HR department so it could be corrected. They informed her that he would be fired for fraudulently submitting false documents. She then told me that about 4 days ago, she had executed the warrant on a dude for felony child abandonment and that the state he was to be held in was already en route to pick him up. It carried an 8 to 12 year sentence and he still had to pay his back child support. I could have dealt with a comment. I could have dealt with not taking no for an answer. I could have dealt with a cyber stalking a little. But when your twisted mind okays you to bring my kid into the picture, you've crossed the line. If you had stopped at no, you wouldn't be in jail right now. I worked at 2 McRestaurants. I'm not going to reveal which ones these may be, but you may work it out. The first was in my hometown before university for 6 months. The second was in my university town for 18 months. The 2 McRestaurants had differing IT systems. One had an online system, the other just had paper. And so I couldn't simply be transferred. I had to resign from one, get fast-tracked through application at the other, and the people who McTrained me had an easy few shifts, lead up to being told what to comply to. Now the first McRestaurant was very strict, but a bit too easygoing. I had good customer service, so I was put on the tills every shift. I could combat every Karen with enough sarcasm and fake boomer humor to make them like me. When working on tills, the managers gave the till users their swipe cards so we could issue refunds quicker or delete an incorrect item on the order when a customer changes their mind 10 times. All is good. Each shift I walk in, count the McMoney, do my job, cash the McMoney, go home. I was almost always perfect to the penny. Until one shift, I noticed a co-worker using my till during my break. When I cashed the McMoney that shift, I'm down by like a $5 and a few pence. And I'm given a cash retainer, disciplinary, and basically a pop quiz about cash handling. After doing so, I mention the other co-worker to a manager and he tells me it's my fault for not constantly supervising my till and for not locking my till during my break, which I didn't know I could do. And he happily shows me. Cool and good. He's nice and even shows me the legal writing that says I cannot leave the till from counting to cashing unless the till is locked. I can comply with that. The night I'm finally forced to use this knowledge. A year later, new store, new managers, same legal stuff. I offered to take a co-worker shift so I can afford to eat next week, and end up on a shift with a manager who has never asked me to go on a till before, which is weird. I'm great with customers and despise cooking McFood. This time though, she was expecting the other worker but had already gotten the McMoney ready. I take it from her, count it, sign it off and do my job. I start learning that she's working everyone hard while she picks her nails and checks her phone. After a while she notices that we haven't had any orders for a little while and that I'm just standing watching her procrastinate. Stop standing around and do your job. I am? We have no customers so I can't serve anyone. She tells me to get stock for the kitchen. What? I thought you wanted me to do my job. Yes, do your job. By the book, McManager? Yes. Okay, no problem. I will stay by this till like it says in the book. Duh. I continue to stand there and she gets irate. Look, McManager, the only way I will leave this till is to go on my break. She rolls her eyes and leaves me alone. Yay! About an hour getting paid to chat with customers and co-workers who are nearby the till. Eventually I'm asked to go on my break so I lock the till as per usual and do so. A co-worker of mine, someone who used the flexible till next to mine while I was on break, a flexible till is signed off by a manager, said that while I was on my break she came to the till, she got angry, tapping the screen for it to do nothing and stormed off. When I came back from my break I asked for her manager card. No, it's for managers only. And you're just a till boy today. Wow, okay. Is this an extended break? What? No! Go do your job. I'll be able to if you give me the manager card so I can unlock your till and do my job. To be honest, you can supervise since it's your card. Again, she rolls her eyes, goes to the till with me, holds out her manager card and I have to swipe it while she's still holding it because she wouldn't let go. The screen becomes responsive again and I unlock it. She seems to avoid me for the rest of the shift, while I just chill since it wasn't too busy. I have time for a proper laugh with some customer and I even have a drunk friend come in for a milkshake. She and I chat for a while and talk about the weird McManager. End of my shift, the McManager is suddenly very nice and sweet and offers to take my McMoney and count it up for me so I can go home early. Haha, no. I am paid to the minute. I want to cover my own hours. So I counted myself, not quite perfect. 3 pence over. I probably just didn't give a few people their penny change when they walked away. But for a cash retainer, it has to be plus or minus £1. I'm chill. It was so satisfying to irritate her so much while I took the role of procrastinating away from her for that shift. I was grinning on my way home that I had done everything as I should have and put a manager in her place. I even got a drunk friend buddy to walk home with. Turns out there was more to it. That was the most profitable Thursday evening in months. That evening was hundreds of quid more profitable. A little investigation had been carried out because of this. Then they noticed it was the first Thursday evening in months to not have a perfect to the penny cash amount. Then they noticed that it was me who signed it off, not the normal person. Then they noticed that the signature of the other person didn't match with her signature on other shifts. Far too much for it to be a coincidence. CCTV showed McManager to be taking the Tills McMoney into the office on a usual workers' break every shift. I got in the way of it this time for just doing as told and doing my job by the book. Fined, of course. I think she spent a small amount of time in prison, but now I see her cleaning the floor in a Colonel's Chicken restaurant across the street. Also, I probably would have trusted her to look after the till while I got stuck if she hadn't been so rude.
And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.